What is up, people, and welcome to the Casual Wrestling Daily Podcast. I am your host, the Notorious D. Join me today as we dive into the world of professional wrestling, breaking down the latest news, matches, and rumors from the Squared Circle, from WWE to AEW. I will cover everything you need to know about to impress your friends. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's wrestling conversations. A little bit of housekeeping before we start the show. I want to give a shout out to our current patrons on patreon.com/the Casual Wrestling Show. That is the bloodline of this channel. Ian the Noobs Newberry and It's Zinni. Shout out to you guys. We appreciate the love. Shout out to you guys. We appreciate the love as always. All right, so yesterday I teased that I was going to cut the AEW roster down to get it to a commercially viable, manageable size of about 30 men superstars. And I think I said I was going to do about 15 female, I might have said 10, but I'm going to do 15 women's superstars because at first glance, so I jumped on the AEW website. After I said this, I jumped on when I got off yesterday, and I just wanted to take a look at how many wrestlers are employed, and I have this all on my phone. How many wrestlers are actually under contract with AEW currently? And this is, I can only go off of what their website says, so I'm sure some of these aren't still employed or are, I don't know. But there's 94 names, and that was me excluding some guys like The Big Show and Mark Henry, who are kind of considered talent and managerial or commentary type roles. But I looked, so there's 94 men on the AEW roster currently. And we wonder why people are unhappy. We have, 3 real hours of television time between Dynamite and Rampage, and let's be honest, Rampage is a throwaway hour of wrestling. Nobody's watching it. Nobody's using Rampage to, AEW's not using Rampage to further the story. So you've got 94 people vying for spots on a 2-hour program. And when you look at the guys that are making television on a weekly basis, I could explain away all of Tony Khan's problems. I could fix all of Tony Khan's problems. I could book for Tony Khan and book AEW into a commercially viable, I could rival WWE with the roster. After looking at this roster, after looking at the roster that Tony Khan has, I could rival WWE in the ratings if I was given this roster. But the first thing you have to do is you have to cut this roster down. And so to go from 94 to 30 means I've got to cut 2/3 of this roster. There's 2/3 of fat that is sitting on this roster of people. Now, I'm not saying, so when I do this, I'm about to cut this down. And I hope you guys, I hope it's not too mundane or monotonous, me kind of going through a list and breaking this down. But this is what I wanted to do today, so that's what we're going to do. But we don't have to, so let's say as we cut this list down, these people don't need to be fired because we can't fire 2/3 of the roster. But what we need is the 30 top names, the 30 most commercially viable names that we can feature on Dynamite, are a show every week, and it will get people to watch. All of this other bullshit you're featuring on TV, you can push that to Rampage. You can put it on a Ring of Honor show. You can put it on Dark. But once I break this down to 30 people, Tony Khan, these are the 30 commercially viable people. Trust me, I'm a casual wrestling fan. I know these things. These are the 30 people who are viable for television. So here's a simple way we're going to start this. The simple way I'm going to start this is I have a list of 94 names here. I'm just going to immediately do a quick run through, and I'm going to eliminate any name that I don't know or I don't think has any opportunity to stay on this list. So we're going to work backwards in the alphabet here. Wheeler Yuta can stay. Wardlow can stay. Trent Beretta's gone. I know who it is, but he's not making my top 30. Tony Nese is gone. The Butcher and the Blade are both gone. We gotta cut this down quickly, right? Swerve Strickland can stay. Sting can stay. Sonny Kiss has got to be gone. Sean Dean, I don't know who that is. They're gone. Serpentico's gone. I know Scorpion Sky has fans, but he's gone. He's not in my. He's not going top 30. Sitnam Singh, he's gone. Santana's gone. Samoa Joe can stay. Sammy Guevara can stay. El Toro Blanco Rush is gone. Gone. Ricky Starks can stay. QT Marshall, we'll send him to the back. He doesn't need to be out in the front. Peter Avalon, I don't even know who you are. Powerhouse Hobbs should stay. Parker Bordeaux, he can go. He can go. I'm not interested in that. Ortiz is gone. Orange Cassidy can stay. Nick Comrado, gone. MJF stays. Miro stays. Michael Nazakawa, don't know who that is. You're gone. Matt Seidel, I know who you are, but you're gone. Matt Menard, you're gone. Young Bucks can stay. Matt Hardy, you're gone. I get that there's value in Matt Hardy, but I don't want him on my roster. Luther, you're gone. Luchasaurus can stay. Lee Moriarty, I get that there's some talent there, but you're gone. Lee Johnson, you're gone. Lance Archer, I like. Kyle O'Reilly, you're gone. Takeshita, you're gone. Don't even know who that is. Kip Sabian, you're gone. Kenny Omega stays. Keith Lee can stay for the time being. Josh Woods, gone. Moxley stays. John Silver, gone. He's a fan favorite, but he doesn't need to be on Dynamite. Jeff Jarrett, gone. Stop bringing in these old guys. Jeff Hardy, just too much fucking trouble. Get him off the roster. Jay Lethal, gone. I'm going to keep Jake Hager because I like Jake Hager. I'm going to keep him around Jericho for the time being. Jungle Boy can stay. Private Party, gone. I don't remember the last time I saw Private Party. Hook can stay for the time being. Griff Garrison, gone. Fuego del Sol, gone. Frankie Kazarian, gone. Death Triangle can stay. Evil Uno, I'm dropping. All Ego, Ethan Page, gone. Eddie Kingston, gone. Eddie Kingston, overrated. 100% overrated. Dustin Rhodes, great in the back, but we don't need him wrestling on Dynamite. Darius Martin, that's the less talented of the Martin brothers. He's gone. Darby Allin stays. Dante Martin stays. Daniel Garcia stays. Danhausen stays. Colt Cabana, gone. CM Punk, I'm going to keep him for the time being. Claudio Castagnoli stays. Chuck Taylor, gone. Christopher Daniels, gone. Christian Cage, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But I just don't like, if I'm top 30 for what Dynamite needs, I don't think Christian Cage is that guy unless he's being featured regularly in wrestling regularly. Jericho stays, FTR stays, House of Black stays, Bryan Danielson stays, Brock Anderson is gone, Brian Pillman Jr. is gone, Brian Cage is gone, Brandon Cutler gone, the Guns can stay, Bandito gone, Ari Daivari, gone. AR Fox, gone. Anthony Ogogo, gone. The Acclaimed should and need to stay. Angelo Parker, gone. Angelico, gone. Andrade can stay for the time being. Alex Reynolds, gone. Adam Page can stay. Adam Cole can stay. Action Andretti can stay. And Aaron Solo, gone. All right, so thank you for staying with me because that was mundane as shit, but that's how many pointless names are on the AEW roster. Like, that's how many names. So with that cut we just made, just that, just cutting off all of the bullshit that nobody really cares about, we're now down to 37 plus names here. And I say plus because we're going to have to look at this because the Acclaimed is three people, right? It's Bowens, Caster, and Daddy Ass. The Guns are two people. Death Triangle's three people. FTR's two people. So we're going to have to, this list realistically has got to get down to 25 and a couple of factions if we're being honest. So let's look at this now. Let's look at this. We've put together here, we're at 37 wrestlers already trimming the fat. These are the only people that I should ever see on AEW Dynamite in prominent positions. Action Andretti, Adam Cole, Adam Page, Andrade, The Acclaim, The Guns, Bryan Danielson, House of Black, FTR, Chris Jericho, Claudio, CM Punk, Danhausen, Daniel Garcia, Dante Martin, Darby Allin, Death Triangle, Hook, Jungle Boy, Jake Hager, John Moxley, Keith Lee, Kenny Omega, Lance Archer, Luchasaurus, The Young Bucks, Miro, MJF, Orange Cassidy, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Stark, Sammy Guevara, Samoa Joe, Sting, Swerve Strickland, Wardlow, and Wheeler Yuta. All right, we got to start chopping down. Now we got to start making tough decisions. Now we got to start doing the things that piss the IWC off. We're going to have to start getting rid of the ones that they love to talk about, but nobody supports. And if I start looking at this, here we go. Let's go down this list. Adam Page. He's not commercially viable. Outside of these people who go, well, you got to know the journey he's been on. That doesn't work. He doesn't sell me when he enters the ring, so he can't be on my top 30. You can put him on Rampage all you want, and you can please the IWC, but he's not on my top 30. He's not in this list. The Guns can stay. They've got name value. Bryan Danielson stays. House of Black stays. FTR. This is tough for me, and it's more about I don't know how bad they want to be there. I guess if I'm booking FTR, they're going to be put into a better position, so I think they stay, so I'm going to keep them for the time being. Chris Jericho has to stay. Claudio, I could book Claudio. Into better positions than everybody else does. Daniel Garcia, Danhausen, CM Punk. Let's drop Punk. I don't think, there's too much problem with him in the locker room right now. I'm a fan. I could probably make it work, but for the time being, I think that he's pretty much off the roster as it is. So I'm going to drop him right now and start tightening this up here. Dante Martin. This is an interesting one for me. Dante has all the potential in the world. He's got to get a little more charismatic, but I'm going to keep him. I like him. I'm going to keep him. Darby hits a niche audience. Death Triangle. I'm going to drop Death Triangle. I'm gonna drop Death Triangle, but I'm gonna keep. How am I gonna do this? No, for right now, I'm gonna keep Death Triangle. I'm walking that back. I like them. Hook can stay. Jungle Boy can stay. Jake Hager's gone. There's no need to feature him. Moxley can stay. Keith Lee's gone. Omega can stay. Lance Archer, Luchasaurus, Young Bucks, Miro. He's 1 foot out the door. He's gone. MJF, Orange Cassidy, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Stark, Sammy Guevara, Samoa Joe. I think for this list, Sting shouldn't be wrestling. He could come out. He can work with Darby, but he can't be wrestling. Samoa Joe, we're going to get rid of Swerve Strickland. And now we got Wardlow and Wheeler Yuta. Now we're at exactly 30. We're exactly 30 names here, guys. 30 names. Give or take some groups. So I don't know that. Let's get this down to 25 if we're going to keep some groups. Who's next to go? Action Andretti? Gone. Adam Cole? Can't be counted on. He's injured too much right now. Andrade? He's 1 foot out the door. If these guys don't want to be around, I'm taking them off the list. What do we got here? The Guns. We're down to 27. We got 27 names on this list. I'm going to drop Lance Archer. I don't know that Lance Archer, he's got too much other shit going on to be booked in my top 30. Down to 26. I got to drop one more name, guys. I have to drop one more name off this list. When I look at this, we got The Acclaim, The Guns, Bryan Danielson, House of Black, FTR. You know what it is? It's House of Black. House of Black. There's too many people in House of Black. I'm just going to keep Malachi Black. And I'm getting rid of the rest. And I think that solves my problem. That's a tight list there. This is it. Tony Khan. This is the list you need to be working with here. The Acclaimed should be on television, on Dynamite every week. The Guns should be featured in some kind of role. Bryan Danielson, that's a given, right? FTR, I like what you can do with FTR, especially their ability to put other people over. Malachi Black, super interesting. he should be the focal point. I'm not saying that you have to fire the rest of the House of Black, but Malachi Black should be featured prominently in the forefront, in the front of the show, right? Chris Jericho, we already see enough Jericho. Claudio, if you let me book him, I could book that man a world title run that would blow your minds. Danhausen, you need that little bit of comic relief, and I think Danhausen, he provides it. Daniel Garcia, I mean, you don't have to. He's up and coming. He's got everything you need. He'll be there. Dante Martin, same same thing I feel about Daniel Garcia. You're kind of taking a shot on those guys. Darby Allin, niche audience, love it. Death Triangle, I walked back that one. Hook, I think after seeing Hook a couple times, he's different enough that he sells himself. Jungle Boy just has kind of that built-in Jungle Boy kind of swag. I'd put him back with Luchasaurus though. They worked so good as the Jungle Express. I don't think you needed to break them up. Moxley goes without saying. Omega goes without saying. Luchasaurus, Young Bucks, MJF, Orange Cassidy, Ricky Starks, Sammy Guevara, Samoa Joe, Wardlow, and Wheeler Yuta. That's it. That's all. Those are the only people who should be prominently featured on Dynamite. And if you go watch episodes of Dynamite right now. At least 1 hour of every show is people who are not on this list. And that is why Tony Khan is having problems. That's why his ratings are having problems. Tony Khan doesn't have any problems. But that's why AEW struggles in the ratings, is because they're speaking to a niche audience. If AEW wants to continue to be the IWC darling brand, then do what you're doing. You're on the perfect track. But if Tony Khan really wants to compete with the WWE, he has to take into consideration exactly what I'm saying. Take it from me, Tony Khan. I am the most casual of the casual wrestling fans. I even got a new neon to fucking prove it, right? I am the most casual of casual wrestling fans. If I lose interest in what's going on, that means that 70 to 80% of the TV watching audience is also losing interest. Because you can spin it any way you want. I see the IWC try to raise their numbers and say that they are the mass watching community of wrestling, but they're not. When you talk about people at home watching wrestling television, it is not the IWC. The IWC show up in groves to go watch wrestling in person in certain cities. In certain cities, they don't even do that. But this is it. Like, you have to. My list here, this list of 26 to 30 names. You could, to be honest with you, to be real honest, you could probably tighten that up one more time. Go through that list one more time and tighten it up and have a list of 20 names that you should be featuring on TV. We could do the women another time. We'll do the women's division another time. I thought this ran a little longer than I thought it would. But this is the one that really matters. This is the meat and potatoes of the AEW roster. There's only 1 to 2 women's match every night. So the where the ratings are coming from are the Jerichos, the Omegas, the Young Bucks, and you've got to tighten that list up. We got to quit doing things with Rick Ross and Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, and do more things, more meaningful things with people like Bryan Danielson. We can't have a week where we don't have the Acclaimed and MJF on the main. How does that happen? How do we have a week of AEW television without the Acclaimed and MJF on your featured show, your tag team champions and your world heavyweight champion not on the card? You can't look at the ratings and go, what's going on? All right, guys, it is time to present today's question of the day. So each and every day here on the Casual Wrestling Daily Podcast, I pose a question to our audience related to the world of wrestling and encourage you guys to leave your answers in the comments or just duet the video on TikTok. Today's question is, do you think wrestling should be held to the same standards as other sports when it comes to drug testing and performance-enhancing drugs? Let me know your answer in the comments, or let me know your answer on TikTok or YouTube Shorts, Duet, Stitch, whatever you guys do. Just make sure to make your voice heard on this question for me. Now let's take a look at today's Rumble report. The Casual Wrestling Rumble Report is your one-stop shop for all of the latest news, rumors, and gossip. We are not responsible for any incorrect information that comes from the dirt sheets reporting. I am just here to give you my good old opinion on these stories. I will leave the dirt digging and fact finding to the Dave Meltzers of the world. Today's report has four stories to talk about. In today's first story, WWE NXT's Toxic Attraction addresses the future of the group. So on Tuesday's episode of NXT, Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne addressed the future of the group Toxic Attraction after Mandy Rose's sudden departure, stating that 2022 was the year of Toxic Attraction and they still think they are the top group in WWE. So Gigi and Jacy Jayne here, the group Toxic Attraction. I mean, they've proven themselves to be formidable wrestlers in their own right. Despite the setback of losing Mandy Rose, I don't know that they're in a ton of trouble. And I think that this statement, maybe overreaching that you're the top group in WWE, but I don't think outside of the Bloodline and maybe not Damage Control, what am I looking for? Judgment Day, that there's not a lot, I find the lie in that statement. They had a big year. But one of the key reasons to me that Toxic Attraction will still be successful is because WWE's done a good job of selling them as a team, as a package. Even without Mandy Rose, I've always kind of felt like Toxic Attraction, Jacy Jayne and Gigi Dolan worked. They've proven that they can, that they play off of each other in the ring pretty well. As far as women's wrestling go, there's not a lot of teams that are packaged as a tag team that makes sense, right? We had Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah. That didn't make any sense. We've had, that's why I'm so big on Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, because it's a tag team that makes sense. But in addition to their teamwork, I think that these two both have enough in-ring experience and they've honed their skills long enough that they're ready to move to the main roster. They're as skilled as most of the women on the main roster. They will not stick out. They will fit right in. So they have no problems there. And I don't know, the women's division isn't given a ton of microphone time anyway, and tag teams are even given less time. So I don't think that they're going to have to navigate microphones and need Mandy Rose to be a mouthpiece. I don't think so. I think that they'll be able to navigate and compete on the main roster with no problem. And the biggest part of this is I think Toxic Attraction built enough credibility with the fans, especially in NXT, that will travel over to the main roster more so than most people who move to the main roster. I think most people knew who Toxic Attraction were. I think that them being a part of the when they had the women's tag team tournament, I think that helped out a lot. So I think that it's a valuable asset to have kind of a built-in support system from the crowd. I think the crowd will be behind them. I think fans will be behind them. And I don't think they'll have a problem moving forward and being top performers on the main roster. So I'm with them here. I like them standing up and saying, and you got to be confident. I like them standing up and basically saying, like, we're not going anywhere. With or without Mandy, we're going to be successful. And I still do believe that there's a big chance that once Mandy Rose kind of runs her course on whatever she's doing, I believe Mandy Rose will be back in the WWE at some point. All right, so our second story of the day is fans are weighing in on who should be on the WWE 2K23 cover. So WWE 2K23, the next installment of the popular console video game, is set to release in the next coming months with no official information about the game yet. It is expected that we get a trailer or a cover announcement in the near future, following the precedent that was set by the unveiling of WWE 2K22. In the meantime, fans have taken to social media to share their own cover suggestions. and create photoshopped mock-ups featuring wrestlers such as Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Bianca Belair. It still remains to be seen who will ultimately be chosen to be on the cover of WWE 2K23, but these names continue to be popular choices among fans. In the comments, you guys can let me know what are your thoughts, who you think should be on the cover of 2K23. As a professional wrestling fan and a video game connoisseur myself, I think that I kind of have some strong opinions on who should be featured on the cover of 2K23. In my view, in my humbled opinion, the cover athlete has to be somebody who had a strong 2022. It has to be somebody who embodies the spirit of the WWE and represents kind of not necessarily the company's values, but the company's mission, right? It should be a superstar who has made a significant enough impact the year before in wrestling and has a big enough fan base that he's recognizable on the cover. And in my mind, that there's only one person. It's Cody Rhodes. He's perfect. He's the perfect choice for 2K23. He's consistently delivered for WWE, even in the short amount of time that he was around. I even think some kind of story mode that features Cody Rhodes and his journey back to WWE would be extremely interesting to play. But just as a cover superstar, I think he works perfectly. And on top of just the in-ring achievements that he has throughout in his history with WWE, Cody Rhodes has kind of a captivating personality. And I think that Rey Mysterio struggled a little bit with the marketing side of WWE 2K22. It was painfully obvious at times that he doesn't play video games and that he just kind of aged out of that world. And so having him run around and talk about it felt funny. I think that with Cody Rhodes, he's kind of in touch enough to understand that this is part of the wrestling culture, that the video game is a very big part of the culture. And I think he's confident enough. I think he's charismatic enough. And he's unapologetically himself enough that he could sell us on why this video game works, and especially sell the people who are going to be new to the series on why the game works. So if you're asking me, if we're just weighing in, and I guess I just decided to weigh in, then I'm picking it's Cody Rhodes. Second choice, maybe Bianca Belair, but I don't think when a kid's walking by the shelf, and you have that limited shelf space in Walmart or in GameStop or in Best Buy, I think Cody Rhodes with that red, white, and blue and that kind of superhero vibe, I think he makes you look twice and want to buy the game. All right, story number 3 of the day. Reports reveal that Vince McMahon's opinion of no-cut clauses in WWE contracts was, do not allow them. So Vince McMahon basically, I'm going to just kind of summarize the story. Before he left, I guess there were some superstars who signed contracts that were looking to put in a no-cut clause. Now, this disappoints me a little bit. It disappoints me to hear that Vince McMahon and WWE's stance on no-cut clauses in contracts is to just take a definite no approach. And let's run back for a second. For anybody who's unfamiliar with the concept of a no-cut clause, it's a provision that guarantees a certain level of job security for a superstar and prevents their employer from just terminating their employment without cause, for any reason. You can't just fire me. And these clauses are common in NBA contracts and NFL contracts. There's a lot of guys who have no trade clauses. I don't know how many no cut clauses there are, but it seems like a no trade clause is very similar. But this is similar in a lot of different industries, and we often see them as a way to provide a little bit of stability and security for people who work for a company. However, Vince McMahon reportedly believes that no cut clauses lead to complacency and undermine the motivation of WWE performers. I'm not sure I buy that. I guess so. What Vince McMahon's getting at here is that if a guy has job security, he's not going to go out and perform. I think you go out and perform because I think everybody has that sense of accomplishment and a little bit of an ego that they want to be the best. I could see we're down towards the bottom of the roster. This could be a problem. But guys who are kind of in that upper mid card, I think that they might perform better knowing they had a little bit of job security, because the truth is that the wrestling business it's unpredictable. It's volatile. There's lots of injuries, right? Guys put their bodies on the line every time they step into that ring, and they deserve to have some level of job security in return, right? So these no-cut clauses would provide that security. And to argue that they lead to complacency, I find that to be stupid. It's just stupid, right? Vince McMahon's stance, and I don't know if this has traveled over to Triple H. This article was about Vince McMahon, but I'm assuming I don't think that anybody has signed a no-cut clause even since Triple H has come back. But these are clear examples of like a company prioritizing the profit over the well-being and security of their performers. And I understand, trust me, I own a business. I understand profit is number one. If you don't make money, you have no business to run. But when you do get to the level of profits and value that WWE has, I do believe that it is best to take care of the people who have helped you get to that level. So it's kind of a shame to see such like a powerful voice in professional wrestling take a stance and just completely shit on the idea of no cut contracts. And I hope in the near future that like Triple H at least entertains this idea. You don't have to give it to everybody, but I do think that there may be acquisitions that you could get, especially people who've been let go previously by the company. There are people that you could get to come back to the company if they just felt there was a little bit of job security. All right, today's last story we're going to talk about is the initial Royal Rumble odds have been released. And this is always fun when this happens, especially with the Royal Rumble. We've done this for the last 3 or 4 premium live events, and the odds are always all over the place. I don't even know. To me, it's weird. How do you judge odds of something that is scripted, right? It's like placing odds on how a movie ends. There are people within WWE who know this information. They have this information. They know who is going to win the men's and women's Royal Rumble, yet we get given odds, and there's actual websites where you can place bets on who you think's going to win the Royal Rumble. But here it is. This is the first round of odds. These will change, I guarantee you, as more information trickles out and more as we get closer to the actual date. But here it is. Men's Royal Rumble odds. Let's work backwards. The number 5 at plus 1,400 is Austin Theory. That's a long shot. I don't see any path that Austin Theory wins an opportunity at another title shot after they just kind of stripped him of the Money in the Bank belt. I understand that they're building back better with Austin Theory, but Royal Rumble, that's a far long shot. Number 4, we've got Seth Rollins at plus 1,200. Seth's sneaky, man. He can always win. He can always win. And if they just want to go with a sure shot and they want to put Seth in a title match at WrestleMania, he's a sure thing. At plus 1,200, that's a bet I would take. It's a bet I would place some money on at plus 1,200. Number 3 at plus 400, The Rock. So this is interesting. I would have thought The Rock was going to be 1 or 2. With The Rock being number 3, I think you have to read into this because these odds makers typically have a little bit of an inside track on information. And if they're placing The Rock at plus 400 and third on this list, I think that means that The Rock's probably not at the Royal Rumble because there's no, right? Because this is essentially the odds of The Rock being at the Royal Rumble. The Rock doesn't show up and wrestle in the Royal Rumble and not win. That just doesn't happen. So The Rock's sliding down this list because I remember people saying that he was the sure favorite to win the Royal Rumble. Now moving down to 3 means that I don't expect to see Dwayne at the Royal Rumble because he's behind number 2, which is Sami Zayn. This is who should win the Royal Rumble, guys. Sami Zayn, if you want the most entertaining WrestleMania ever, Sami Zayn is the guy who should win the Royal Rumble. He's not going to because number 1 at plus 100, Cody Rhodes is winning the Royal Rumble. I mean, I just feel that in my gut. I don't know. It just feels like it has to happen. And if it's not Cody, who is it? Who is it? It should be Sami. But I don't think there's any chance in the world that they do a WrestleMania main event of Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns. I just don't think. I think they did their Kofi Mania, and I don't think Triple H is sold on the idea of Sami being the guy to knock off Roman Reigns or even be in that match. So your best bet there is Seth Rollins at plus 1,200. Because if it's not Cody, it could be Seth. I could see Seth winning. I really could. The women's Royal Rumble match, let's work backwards here. Number 5, Raquel Rodriguez at plus 800. I'm going to tell you something interesting about this. The odds are a lot tighter on the women's side than they are on the men's side. There's from 1 to 5, there's not, plus 1,400 to plus 100. That's a big gap on the men's side. But on the women's side, you go from plus 800 to plus 250 means we don't know. We have no clue who's about to win this match. But number 5, they have Raquel Rodriguez at plus 800. Number 4, they have Bayley at plus 500. Number 3, they have Charlotte at plus 400. Number 2, they have Rhea Ripley at plus 350. And number 1, they have Becky Lynch at plus 250. I don't want to see Becky Lynch. I love Becky Lynch. I don't want to see her win the Royal Rumble. We got to quit using the Royal Rumble to elevate established stars the way they keep doing. This is Rhea Ripley's Rumble. Or long shot, this is Raquel Rodriguez's Rumble. But this should not be. It should not be Becky Lynch. It should not be Charlotte. And it should not be Bayley. It just shouldn't. Really, if there's only one person who should win this, and that's Rhea Ripley, and she should be headed on a collision course with Bianca Belair for a title match at WrestleMania. I've been calling this for the last 3 months. I've been saying that this is the path they need to take, that we don't need Bianca and Charlotte. What we need is Bianca and Rhea Ripley and start the new era. That's what I believe we need. I don't see anything else otherwise. So that's the odds. Let's talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be doing another ringside recap. We got AEW Dynamite tonight. Let's see if they can put together 2 hours tonight. Let's see if they can get their champion on the show tonight. Let's see if they can get their tag team champions on the show tonight and not save those guys for the almighty Friday Night Rampage. But that is all the time we have today, guys. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Casual Wrestling Daily Podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's show and learned something new. If you have any suggestions or thoughts for future episodes, please don't hesitate to reach out and drop those in the comments section. And don't forget to join us tomorrow, same place, same time, for more wrestling talk. Until then, as the great Mick Foley once said, have a nice day. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hosted by Notorious Nerdy D. Dope show that you gon' find. Tune in cause it's online. Hit 'em with a figure 4 leg lock, power driver or clothesline. We bringing that heat like the show, but you should already know the Casual Wrestling Community Show. Let's go. Yeah, Notorious Nerdy D. Woo!